Alright guys, this is going to be the integumentary system, so basically skin and then one thing on a fingernail. So the only thing you need to see that I would label on this model is you need to see the nail plate or the nail body. It's just the part of the nail that you actually see, so it's just going to be this part here. I guess if you wanted to, you could label some other parts on here, like this is going to be a sweat gland, a sudoriferous gland, and this is going to be a sebaceous gland here. You still have your hypodermis, which is the layer that has a lot of adipose tissue in it, the yellow little blobs. The reticular layers here, the reticular layer and the papillary layer, both of the dermis are here. And then above this line that's blue and pink, where it gets squiggly, anything above it is going to be epidermis. This is all going to be epidermis up here. That's all I'd ask on this one. So now we move to a different model, a bigger version, clearly easier to see. Again, we got the layers. So again, use this border as the border between the epidermis and the dermis. If it's above this, if it's in blue or above, it's epidermis. If it's from this basically pink part all the way down to where it turns yellow, this is going to be regular dermis. And then down here is going to be your hypodermis with all the fat tissue, adipose tissue. In your dermis, you have two layers. The papillary layer is basically just the top upper region here, where you have these little humps, basically, which are called papilla, nipple-shaped structures that go up. So this would be a papillary layer here. The rest of the dermis is all going to be reticular layer. Sounds good? This model is really not good for the different layers of the epidermis, the stratum. So I would never ask it on here, but some people, I guess, could. This dark blue line would be the deepest layer, which is going to be the stratum basale, or stratum germinativum. I call it basale just because it's easier to spell. So stratum basale will be way down here. And then the top layer in the pink would be the stratum corneum, the uppermost layer. But the ones in between, not that great on this model, so I wouldn't ask them on here. What else do we got? So we have some glands. We have the sudoriferous gland, which is going to be right here. It's called the sweat gland too. It's going to be your sebaceous gland here. Remember, that's the one that goes around the hair. In addition, you have a couple of touch receptors. So you have a PACINIAN corpuscle down here. It's also called a lamellated corpuscle because it has lamina or lamellae, which are layers. So PACINIAN corpuscle is going to be this one. And then the one that's up here inside of one of these little papilla is going to be your MEISSNER'S corpuscle, also called a tactile corpuscle. So you can call it either one because they're both right. A couple other things. So this muscle that's coming off basically the hair is going to be your ARRECTOR PILI, the smooth muscle that makes your hair stand up. Down here, this is going to be the hair root, and it's basically surrounded by a structure called the hair follicle. So the hair follicle is what the actual hair grows inside of, so just this outer layer around the bottom of the hair. And I think that that's it for accessory structures. So that's it for this guy. We move into a bigger one. So let's start at the bottom. Again, we still have our PACINIAN corpuscles, which are going to be these ones here and here. PACINIANs are these guys. We have a MEISSNER'S corpuscle, which again is going to be up in the papilla, in that papillary layer here. We still have a sudoriferous sweat gland. We still have sebaceous glands, which are going to be here, here, and here. This is a sweat gland too. Sweat gland, sweat gland, sweat gland. We still have the layers, so this is still going to be your hypodermis down here. Your regular dermis is going to be right here, using the lumpy border as the border between the epidermis and the regular dermis. For layers, again, you got the stratum corneum, which is going to be this top layer here. And I think this has all 5 layers of skin, or stratum of the epidermis. So the top layer that's closest to the surface is going to be your stratum corneum. The next layer down that's a little white layer is only going to be found in thick skin, and it's called the stratum lucidum, so it's going to be this little white layer. The next layer down, which is going to be this darker pink layer right here, is going to be the stratum granulosum. The thicker layer that goes all the way down until you get to basically this line, this border between the dermis and the epidermis, is going to be the stratum spinosum. And then the very last layer, just a single layer of cells basically that lines along these little humps, is going to be your stratum basale. So those basale, spinosum, granulosum, lucidum, corneum. Remember, those are all layers of the epidermis. Again, this is your papillary layer of your regular dermis, so it's just going to be where these humps and bumps are up and down and where you have lots of blood vessels. Reticular layer is going to be the rest of the dermis, and I think that that's about it. A couple other things you can see. Obviously, I think I already said it, but here they are again. Sebaceous glands are going to be these. Sudoriferous glands are going to be these. ARRECTOR PILI muscles are going to be these guys that go here, here, and here. So that's it for this guy. Last but not least, the dark wood model. Again, it looks kind of like the other ones. So use the lumpy bumpies for the border between the epidermis, which is going to be from brown up. The regular dermis, which is going to go basically from the pink down to where it turns into fat tissue. This is going to be regular dermis. Then down here is going to be your hypodermis. Remember, papillary layer is the upper part of the regular dermis. Then the rest is all going to be reticular layer of the regular dermis. Some structures you got inside. You got sebaceous glands here, here. You have sudoriferous sweat glands here, here, and here. You have tactile corpuscles, so little MEISSNER'S corpuscles right here, right here. You have PACINIAN corpuscles or lamellated corpuscles here. There's only one. What else we got? Arrector pili muscle is going to be this big one that comes up like this. You can see another piece of it over here, so that's arrector pili. The hair follicle is just going to be the structure that surrounds the hair, so this will be a hair follicle down here. And that's it for that part. Now we just have the layers up in the top of the skin. So this one, unlike the other model, only shows 4 layers. I don't think it has all, well, I guess maybe you could say it has 5. Stratum corneum is here, depending on if it's thin skin or thick skin, which I can't tell. I'm going to say this is thin skin. It doesn't have the lucidum. Instead, it just has the next layer down, which is going to be the granulosum. Then it's going to have the spinosum layer, and then the basale. But you might have to learn it as corneum, lucidum, granulosum, spinosum, and then there's an invisible layer way down on the bottom along the border called the stratum basale. So, just so y'all know. And I think that's it. That's it for today.